Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the Kick-Ass Nation? It is I, Christopher Rausch, your host here of the Raw and Unscripted Show, which is live every single Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the live video cast. I always invite you guys to come to this because that way we can engage live. You guys can share your thoughts and your questions of what's going on in the conversation. And it's about connectedness. That's what I'm about. That's what the show's about, is about connecting with you guys and creating a relationship that is based on trust, based on mutual respect, based on the fact that we are humans living this experience on a spinning blue marble in space, and that all of us can have an opportunity to make this world just a little bit better for who we are and what we do. Tonight's episode is truly raw and unscripted. And the reason why I tell you that is because, I put a lot of thought into these shows. They are raw and unscripted, but I also plan out, things I'm going to say. And as the show has progressed now into its 7th year, I take pride on building it out for you guys because you spend your attention, you spend your time here every single week. And I cannot thank you enough. Wherever you're at in this world, whatever country you're in, whatever nationality, whatever religion, whatever sexual orientation, whatever label that society puts on you, I love you and I appreciate you. And together we make this world amazing, right? There's challenges and things that are going on. And I'm going to share that tonight because I feel that I wanted to come raw and unscripted. I had a whole episode planned around procrastination, but something in my heart just said, let it flow, Chris. Let it flow, see what happens. And it's meant to be, because I do put a lot of thought into these episodes. Last week, I actually put quite a bit of thought into it. Last week's episode, in case you missed it, was about aging parents, right? And dealing with the fact that a lot of people that I know in their 40s and 50s and 60s are dealing with their kids left for school, and now their parents need them more than ever. And so the relationships are changing. All of a sudden you go from being the kid and they're the parent, and then you kind of go into a friend-based relationship for quite a while. But then you start noticing that they're not doing things as well. They're not remembering things as well. They're calling you for direction. Sometimes they're getting lost, and you realize that you have to step in and help them out, and you take on the caretaker role. So we talked about that. I experienced that myself with my mother for the last 2 years of her life in taking care of her. I feel like I took care of her most of her life. And in case you don't know any part of that story, I'm happy to report that I've got some book covers that I've redesigned in case you haven't seen that. But I wrote a book. It's my life story with my mother. It's called It's Just You and Me, Kid. If you go to itsjustyouandmekid.com, you'll find a little bit of a write-up on the book. And you can also put your name and your email address and help me make it a bestseller. And in exchange for you guys doing that, which I thank you so much, I'm going to offer you all sorts of freebies and extras. You guys can see them on the website. But basically cool stuff. Like when I read an autobiography, I have so many questions for the person, like whatever happened to this person, and what did you think about that? That I would love for them to have like a Zoom meeting, a Q&A, and be able to ask questions and find out what stories didn't make it in the book and find out what the book writing process was. And so I'm going to do that for you. Not only am I going to do that for you, I think I've thrown in there a coaching session, a complimentary coaching session. I've thrown some stuff in there. And if there's anything that you would love to see added to that list, like, hey man, in order for me to support your book, I would love to get this. Send me a message, send me an email, info@noexcusescoach.com. I would love to see it. I would love to be able to offer that to you because I can't thank you enough for helping me make this a bestseller. I just showed this cover to my coach, and she was like, oh my God, she just published her 3rd book called Beyond Brave by Sally Anderson. But you could check this out. So I've got my car, the car I slept in. That's the station wagon I slept in. That's the actual license plate number of the car. They got the cats and the dog down here saying anything helps, because we had 18 cats and 4 dogs inside of this massive station wagon. And it's a pretty incredible story. And I have to say that in the process of doing this book for the last, I think 6 years, which was pretty crazy, because I remember sitting down and saying, hey, today I'm going to write my memoir, which was at the urging of my coach and my dear friend Patricia, because I wanted to finish writing another book called Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. But they both said, no, you need to write your life story. And I say, no, I don't want to. But I encourage everyone. I was just telling this to somebody the other day. Everyone should write their life story, because when you go back and you have to remember things and you have to hopefully put it in the perspective of both individuals or all the parties that were involved in that, as opposed to becoming a victim or just saying it's one-sided, causes you to think. Like for me, in my example of my mother, she put me through a lot of shit. And I could easily point to my psychological challenges and say, oh, what was that? It was that. I wasn't held as a baby. I was beaten. I was this. I was told this. Da, 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 da. But instead, I promised her that I would try to find her perspective, her voice within the story. And so at the end of each chapter, it's called retrospect and lessons. And so in retrospect, now that I'm an older individual and I have a family of my own, I can see things through a different lens. I can see some of the things that she did. I can see that she really did try to do the best she could with what she had, which I called bullshit on so often. And there's still a part of me that does, but a large majority of me realizes I had unrealistic expectations for her. As a mother, I wanted her to be Mrs. Brady, Mrs. Cunningham, the textbook parent down the street that did everything for their kids and loved them. I wanted that from her. And when I didn't get that, then I was disappointed, but that was unfair for me to put on her. So it was through that process of writing and trying to put out a balanced book to show that there is opportunity for us to see different sides of the story, because so oftentimes we see it from our side, which is the victim side, that we don't have an opportunity to grow and to allow those people some grace, right? Not that we don't hold them accountable and not that they're not responsible, but it helped me to relieve some of the frustration and some of the disappointment and some of the rejection, to realize that she really was like, the negative reinforcement, like telling people negative things to make them have action. Like, nobody's going to love you if you're fat. Nobody's telling you that you're unlovable or anything else. They're just trying to give you leverage to go, oh, I better not be fat, right? Negative reinforcement, I think it's called. And so I'm able to do that. And because this life, honestly, guys, is about growing. It's about growth. And I can tell you this, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 57. And when you look at the average life expectancy here in the United States, I think it's 78, 74. That gets to be pretty scary when you start looking at years in terms of Christmases or terms of summers. Like, how many summers do I have left? And I do that quite a bit, which I'm going to talk about tonight because I feel that's in my heart. But before we move on, the book, definitely. And also people have been inquiring lately. I do have a group coaching program. It is extremely affordable. We just had 2 new people join. We've had a couple of people in there for 2 years, 3 years, perhaps. This ongoing thing that I do twice a month. I do training sessions twice a month. We have an ongoing text chat. We have a Facebook group, which we really don't use much anymore. It's about accountability. It's about teaching. It's about life lessons. It's about stacking. We were just talking about this on Monday. We were talking about, what were we talking about on Monday? Procrastination, because that's what I was going to do the show on tonight. We were talking about that, but we were talking about one of the participants had said, when you put together the tolerations exercise that we did, and you put together the values exercise that we did, and you put together all the different things that we've done and stack those, you see where it is that you draw on from your toolbox. So you sit there and you look at, okay, I said I wasn't going to tolerate that anymore. That doesn't align with my top 3 values. And now that becomes a non-negotiable. So when those things enter my life, it's not a matter of me tolerating it and being that old version of myself where I was a people pleaser. It's really about the fact that, no, that's a non-negotiable. I'm not going to allow toxic vampires into my life and drain my energy, because we have those people like that come to us and, oh, my relationship or my job or my health, and they bitch about the same stuff over and over again. And we, as politely, as energetically, as whatever possible, we try to offer them advice. Like, well, what have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Yeah. No, that won't work. They're just in their victim mindset. And they keep doing that. So I've drawn a boundary. Like, I'm not going to allow that anymore. Especially, hey, Chris, can I pick your brain? No. Well, you can pick my brain once. But then I have this option for my group coaching program. I have one-on-one coaching. You can actually listen to this podcast and change your entire life. I've had people do that. People have listened to this podcast for years and years and years and have told me explicitly, Chris, you have saved my life. You have changed my life. So there's no excuse. But that's one of my non-negotiables is I won't entertain that before. And I used to, even so much, and this might help you. that when I reconnected my sister, I didn't see my sister. I was 9 and she was 16. She's 7 years older than me. 7 years older. I always want to say 9 years older, but she's 7 years older than me. I didn't see her from the age of 9 until in my mid 30s. And when I reconnected with her, I thought she was going to be fine and everything was going to be good. But unfortunately, she, as much as she hated my mother, our mother, same mom, different dad, she turned out exactly like her. And of course, me being the baby brother and the guy that's gotten into motivational speaking and the guy that got the master's degree after dropping out in the 7th grade, I thought I could help her change. I thought I could help her find the light and not be a victim and not be a blamer and not be miserable. But she was so stuck to her story, so stuck to that. And I just decided, do I really want to live with this for the rest of my life? Do I really want to tolerate this for the rest of my life? And I had to ask myself a poignant question. And you guys know, if you've been following the podcast, I'm all about questions. I have books on questions. I've interviewed people who have written books on questions. I asked my question: if I didn't share blood with this person and I just met them, would I want any sort of relationship with them whatsoever? Or would I think they're batshit crazy and distance myself? And that was a tough question for me to ask myself, but the immediate answer was no. And that's sad and it's unfortunate, but really we never spent that much time together. We were 7 years apart. Different dads. She went to her dad's every other weekend. She had a great life with her dad. He was very normal by all respects. My mother had 6 different psychiatric disorders and dependencies and whatnot. And so I understand for her, it was a tough situation, having to raise me a little bit and be, at 9 years old, having to take care of a baby. And you want your mother's love and affection and everything else. So, I get it, but unfortunately, that was the story she told herself and turned out exactly like her, which was crazy. And ultimately I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I wish you all the best. And I meant that. I was no maliciousness. It was just, I wish you all the best. We haven't spoken in 30 something years and I hope you have an amazing life. But please don't contact me ever again. And unfortunately, there's been no contact. I think it's been as long now. It was 2005, I think, when we disconnected again. I think it's as long now as it was before that I haven't talked to her. So that was 2005. So that's 21 years, something like that. And it sucks because now I have a son and she could be an aunt. But again, like when you look at your life, what are you tolerating? What boundaries do you have in place? What are your non-negotiables? And when you start doing that and you start taking responsibility for your life and you start taking responsibility for the things that you allow into your life, guess what? You start being a gatekeeper and you realize, holy shit, when I make better choices for myself and I talk better to myself and I absorb Chris's content and I join his group coaching program and I keep my promises to myself and I eat a little bit better and I drink a little bit more water and I monitor my sleep. You realize what type of individual you could really become? Empowered, kick-ass, unstoppable, no excuses, fierce. I've got one of my coaching clients that I had during COVID. I think it was 21 to 23, year 2021 to 2023. I think we worked together for 18 months. I do my one-on-ones in 6-month groups. And she recently just texted me. We don't talk much anymore, but she recently just texted me and she goes, "You'd be so proud of me. I still continue to work out. And now instead of being a kindergarten teacher, which is amazing, her goal was to move up in her career and giving her methods and opportunities to be a better people person, to be a better leader, re-identify her morals and her values and her ethics and her integrity and things of that nature." And she said, "I'm going to be named as the principal of my school. And I just want to thank you so much." So I've seen people go from, I can't do it, I've never been able to do it, and have all these excuses to be able to rise and shine and be able to own their life. And I fully believe, like, you really, once you coach with me for, anywhere from a year to 18 months, then you can get into the group coaching program and it's like a tune-up. Like, I know that there's people in there that could easily like bow out of the group and be fine, but it's about having that constant positivity and that person to ask questions about and being surrounded by other people who are continuing to say, okay, what can I work on next? What can I work on next? Hey, I had a relapse in my thinking about myself. My negative self-talk kind of spoke up. What recommendations do you have? And so I love doing that. I still meet with my coach and talk to her once a month. And I also have mentors in my life that I meet and talk with, and I have people I can ask questions with. And I'm a voracious learner, going on YouTube, using ChatGPT to ask questions, to have ChatGPT be my opposing partner in an argument to help me better understand what that person might be thinking. I was just helping that with somebody just a little while ago. I said, hey, get on the chat and tell it the situation and say, I want you to be this person, and advocate from their position and help me understand what it is they might be thinking, so I can be a better individual in that conversation and not appear to be so selfish or be so stubborn or be so hurt or mad or whatever other emotion you want to put in there. And so it is really our growth. And we should always be striving to grow and to become a different version of ourselves. And I tell people, like, you're not competing with anybody else. And so oftentimes we get into comparison situation where we're comparing ourselves to sound bites and pictures that we see in social media. And that's not an accurate representation, because I've seen so many people, and you've seen them too, people like grouchy face and frustrated. They might even be arguing. They're all of a sudden, okay, let's take a family shot. And everybody goes, and then you see them go back to the, and you're just like, you're comparing yourself, and you think, oh, they just walk around all day and they're all just happy and they're all so loving and they always get along, right? Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And you should have the intention and the growth that when you go to sleep at night, and this is what I do, what am I proud of today? I've spent years working on my evening ritual and my morning ritual. And when I got down to, and I wrote it on my dry erase board right by my bed, as I put little notes there, and I'm like, what am I proud of today? And that came upon when I said my word of the year, because we always come up with a word for the year, was pride. When you think about it, when you take pride in yourself and you take pride in the things that you do, and you take pride in the relationships, and you take pride in your humanity, it's pretty amazing what it is that you can summon up from yourself, right? I take pride in how I look. So I go to the gym, and even though I don't feel like it, I do that extra rep. You know, if I'm doing 25 sit-ups, I'm going to do 26 just to say, hey, I gave it that little extra push. I don't feel like working out that hard today. Well, what would it feel like if I did work out hard and left it all on the floor and was able to leave the gym going, you know what? I really didn't feel like it, but fuck, I showed up for myself. And I showed up, and I know that my blood test results and everything else is going to be representative of the fact that I take care of myself and I take pride in myself. Because a lot of people, and I can say this with certainty, a lot of people take their health for granted. I've seen it. I'm 57 years old. I've seen people who I've known since their 20s or their 30s. Oh, yeah. No, that's good. I'm not going to have diabetes. I'm not going to have any heart problems. I swear to God. I've seen people have strokes. I've seen people have heart attacks. I've seen people get diabetes. I've seen people get amputations. I've seen people regret because now they're on 10 different medications. I know one person who's on 18 different medications, already had open heart surgery, is only a couple of years older than me. That's pretty frightening. I'm 57. I love it when people sit there and say, you don't look a day over 40. I'm not looking to look like I'm 30 anymore, but look at my skin. My skin's pretty good. I just shaved today. I took a shower, got gray hairs, got white hairs. But I drink a gallon of water every day. People say, we're going through this in my group coaching program. Oh, I don't like water. It's so hard for me to drink water. I'm like, well, if you have a negative story about it, then you're not going to do it. But if you realize that your body's like 85, 90% water, and when you're dehydrated, your brain doesn't function that well, your organs don't function that well. And guess what? That leads to, I don't feel so good. So you go to something that makes you feel good. You go to that dopamine hit, you go to that cupcake, you go to that cookie, you go to that beer, you go to whatever it is that takes your mind off the fact that you don't feel very good. And you repeat the cycle over and over again until you're sitting in a doctor's office and they say, by the way, your blood pressure is really high. We're going to place you on a couple of medications. We're going to put you on a cholesterol medication. We're going to put you on a blood thinner. And now you're going to have side effects of that. And then quite possibly other shit's going to happen. And you might continue to go downhill for the rest of your life and die. I know that's rather dramatic, but I have seen that where people have given up. They've, well, I've got this and I've got that. My doctor says to take it easy. And no, there's all sorts of homeopathic, and there are all sorts of different remedies and things that you could do. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but I can tell you this. I could pull it out right now. I have a Tupperware bin that is probably, I don't know, 1 foot by 2 foot. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty big. It's a decent sized Tupperware container, and it's full of vitamins. I don't have them in front of me, but I take enough vitamins to choke on. And it's something that I've been very intentional about. I add and take away vitamins. I just recently added a different type of magnesium at night because it helps you sleep. I just recently added a different type of fish oil that isn't, surprisingly enough, it's not fishy. Because you need that in your body, and I hadn't been doing it, and I got a vitamin deficiency test and found out I was deficient in that. Found out I was a little bit over on vitamin D, which was something I was under and before, and also DHEA. I discontinued using that because it said it was rather high, which was surprising. But if you're constantly looking, or not constantly, I at least twice a year, I run my CBC, which is your general blood test, and it tells you your white blood cells, red blood cells, and things of that nature, testosterone. And then once a year, and I do this through functionhealth.com, by the way. So if you guys don't like going to doctors and whatnot, you can go to Function Health. It's AI supported. They do 350 blood tests at the beginning of the year or the beginning of your cycle. And then 6 months later, they do like another 70 tests to see what has changed. So you can sit there and monitor it, and you can be proactive about it. Because if you're not involved in your blood test results and your overall test results and your care, like I ask people, like, do you have your blood test? Oh, no. Have you ever looked at your MyQuest? Like, it shows your blood test over the years. You can see where the changes are. You can sit there and look for things that perhaps your doctors aren't looking for. And I have noticed those similarities and like, okay, why is this down? Why has that been declining? It's like 4 things declining. And then I found out, unbeknownst to me, really from paying that much attention to it, there was all leading to the fact that my iron is low. And so if you follow me on social media, you know that earlier this year, I had a massive infusion. It was 1,000 milligrams. I can't remember exactly what it was. Didn't move my ferritin levels at all. But then now I've just had 5 visits of 250 milligrams or whatever, micrograms, whatever it might be, you know, fucking needles in my arm sitting there for an hour. And I just did a blood test today to see if my ferritin levels went up, which I'm praying they do, because if they don't go up with this, then there might be something that's a deeper situation that's happening. And I've heard one other person talk about this, and it wasn't pretty, the diagnosis or the prognosis of that. So yeah, your iron is very important. It goes into apparently your iron has to go into your bone marrow, and it has to generate new red blood cells for it to be. It doesn't just infiltrate the current red blood cells. So I'm praying that my iron goes up, very much so. Otherwise, my head's going to go down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to have to visit what this other thing might be. And I'm not even saying that out loud because I'm not putting it into the reality. But I will say this. The thoughts on my mind recently at 57 have been a lot about mortality, longevity, possible regrets. And I just encourage you. When I was thinking about this, I jotted down a few notes of things that are really kind of speaking to me right now. And one of the things that I put down here is like, be super intentional with your moments. Be super intentional with being present. And I've been giving people this example, like when you taste a chocolate chip cookie, do you eat the chocolate chip cookie? Oh my God, it's so good. Or do you really stop and enjoy it? Like, this is going to be your last chocolate chip cookie, or if it was your first chocolate chip cookie, how much care and concern would you give it? And being able to really, like, when you sit down and have a meal, like, oh man, I could tell my wife, oh, I could taste the herbs and spices in the spaghetti. It is the best spaghetti. Did you use different noodles? I could tell that there's something different about the pizzas, the spaghetti sauce, and she makes it fresh, and she uses her ground meat. And so I'm really conscientious about just being present in the moment, because guys, come on, let's be honest. We spend a lot of our time in our brain thinking about the past or thinking about the future instead of being present. And that was the promise that I made to myself when my son was born, is that I will be present. So when I wake up in the morning, we're talking about rituals. When I wake up in the morning, my ritual is to say, I will be present and playful with my son. I will use my words and my actions to make this world a better place. And then from there, it goes out. My intention today is to speak kinder to myself. My intention today is to go to the gym and impress myself. My intention is to go to bed tonight with 3 things that I'm super proud of. My intention today is to be stronger in being able to say no. Or my intention today is to be more honest in my conversations. Whatever it is that I might be going, I set that intention for myself. My intention is never to have a shitty day. My intention is never to be negative. My intention is never to go down a rabbit hole and think about death and how I'm going to die. But my mind is what my mind is. And sometimes it goes there. And it's really sad because we take life for granted. You take life for granted. I take life for granted sometimes. And it's not until we get that diagnosis. Like, we know we're going to die. I've had these conversations with people all the time. I've had a conversation on the show. Actually, if you want to go check it out, a couple of months ago, I had a death shaman. And so basically she was like a hospice nurse, but we talked about dying. We talked about transitioning. We talked about what potentially could be after this human experience in a soul experience. And so we had that candid conversation, but as you age and as you start to realize, like, shit, one day either I'm going to drop dead, or I'm going to get sick, or I'm going to, hopefully die of natural causes. My intention is that with every ounce that I am, and sometimes I'm a hypocrite about this, and this is what drives me crazy about myself, is that my whole goal and my mission is to see my son become an adult, to be there for every step of the way, to be there for his teenage years, and when he's going through his hormonal changes and he's starting to date, and and he's going to get a job, and I want to be there for all of that. I want him to say, I could count on my dad. My dad was there, because I hear other people talking about it, and it makes my heart feel so filled when I hear somebody talking about their parents and how much they were there for them, how much they appreciate them, and how much they want to emulate them as parents themselves or as people themselves. My dad was such a hard worker, and he was, my son sees that, but I also have to be careful. Like, what do they really truly see? Because sometimes they're not going to tell us that honest truth. And there was one time where my son had said to me, he goes, "Dad, do you think if your mom didn't beat you that you would, was something weird. It was something that had to do with my pain. But in a nutshell, he goes, do you think that would help you be a better person today if you weren't abused as a kid?" And I thought that was very self-aware for him to realize that, but then to carry that next step further and ask me that question, which tells me that he thinks about more things than he talks about out loud. And children will make those assumptions and put things together, and that becomes a part of their belief system. And then when it becomes a part of your belief system, then that's what you see, because your lens is colored with that. Oh, I see dad always in pain. And so I've been very conscientious, like, okay, I'm not going to complain about my back. I always have chronic back pain. It's killing me right now. But it's like, what does that do? What does that do? I want to give off not portrayal, but I want to give off like the fact that I am strong. And so we sit there, I have a hand grip in my car, and I'll sit there and I'll do it like 25 times, and I'll hand it to him, and he can't even do it once. He's like, "Dad, you're so strong." And it's not like I'm being fake or anything else, or I'm trying to put a show on, but it's like, I want him to see that. I want him to experience that. And so when you think about your life and your legacy, if you died tomorrow, would you be happy with the unresolved relationships that you have? Would you be happy with the things that you didn't do, didn't say? Would you know 100% that everybody in your life that matters to you knows how you feel? Like, do you tell your friends, "I love you, I appreciate you, here's what I love about you"? And I'll tell you this, and I was just having this conversation with somebody recently, and they really stopped and had a long pause. And it's this, like, speaking of death and everything, somebody dies, or let's just back it up a second. We intend to get together. Oh, I meant to get together. I want to get together. Maybe I'll take a trip out to New York and visit with you, but I really can't afford it. And we say these things and we make these intentions, and then something happens, and we never do it. And then something happens, they die. And what do? We buy a plane ticket, we buy a suit, we buy a dress, and then we fly, and we don't even get to see the person. We were there to eulogize them. We're there to share a part of our lives to make the collective a little bit more whole again, to help the family. Can you imagine? And I've been to a lot of funerals, and I think about this. What would it be like if that person that's sitting in the casket, laying in the casket right now, could hear and be present for the 75, 200 people, whatever it might be, that are in this room right now, showing absolute love and care and concern for one person? I mean, maybe the family, but that one person. Can you imagine if you were in front of 200 people or 70 people or 50 people or 20 people, and they were saying, "You know what I loved about Chris? I love the fact that he was authentic to himself. I love the fact that he spoke his truth. I love the fact that he was passionate about humanity. I love the fact that he was such a great dad." You're sitting around and you're listening to people talk so nicely about you. Why don't we do that when people are alive? So you're listening to this. Here's my challenge to you. I would love for you to start considering having living memorials with your friends and your family. And there's a couple of different ways you could do it. You can do it with one. You could pick, if you have a group of, like, a close group of 5, like you would live and die, you would take a bullet for them. Close group of 5. Okay, this year we're gonna eulogize Mary. Next year we're gonna eulogize Jock. Next year we're gonna eulogize Chris. Or you get together once a year. Maybe you guys live in different parts of the world. You find a central part. Like, let's all meet in Vegas, or let's all meet in New York. Let's all, whatever it is. And you say, okay, now we're going to spend the next 2 days We're going to do something that Chris wants to do. We're going to do something that Mary wants to do. We're going to experience this. We're going to have experiences. We're going to have dinner. We're going to stay in an Airbnb. And in the culmination, we're going to go around the room and we're going to eulogize one another. So I'm going to say nice things about Mary. I'm going to say nice things about Jock. I'm going to say nice things about everybody. And then in turn, they're also going to say that to us. Imagine how that would feel, having your bucket, having your cup filled like that every single year. Is it unrealistic? No. Like, even if you like, Chris, I don't have money to travel. Okay, you jump on a Zoom call. Maybe you make it a couple of Zoom calls over a couple of days. You adjust, you calibrate, you figure it the fuck out. Or you even record videos. I've done that for people. As part of them, like, I've given the suggestion, like, oh, hey, Chris, would you send a video? I'm not well enough to know these people and be invited, but I know them enough to be able to send somebody a video. Like, hey, can you do a video for Mary Kay? We're meeting and we're going to do a living memorial. So think about that, like the things that you get to do. But so oftentimes we get caught up in the rat race. We get caught up in Monday morning quarterbacking what happened and what could have happened and what should have happened. And I see so many people waste so many years, not just days or hours, but years, being vindictive in their mind against people who have supposedly wronged them. Being, oh, well, if I would have done that, then this would have happened. Or, God forbid somebody passed away and I should have, could have, would have, I should have seen the signs when this was happening. I could have done this. We could have gone to Germany, and you're doing all that. Or you're in the future. You're worrying about how you're going to pay your bills. That's a good thing to worry about. I shouldn't use that example, but you're worrying about, what Trump's going to do. You're worrying about all these different things. And is it really moving your game forward? And so the central core of this message tonight is really to like wake up and just live in awe that the fact that you can see, that you can hear, that you can feel, that you can smell, right? You get to experience a hug from somebody and you get to feel it. Like, really be present. And that's something I have seen and witnessed in myself, especially in the last 7 years, especially since leaving corporate, especially since becoming a dad. Like, it does me no good and it does him no good. Like, if I'm sitting there playing with him, but I'm thinking about all sorts of other things and I'm not really present, because he's only going to be 9 years old. He's 9 years old right now. He's only going to be this young right now. And that's it. And before I know it, he's going to be 12, 13. And then that's going to be a different shift in his life. Then all of a sudden he's going to be 16, 17, 18. And now he's going to be off doing things in high school and friends. And I'm not going to have that ability just to walk over to his bedroom and say, hey, let's go play a video game. Hey, let's go for a bike ride. Hey, let's all have a family day at the beach. And so I recognize that. I know there's going to be a spot, and it's going to coincide with me being older, because, many times people have kids younger, and then all of a sudden when the kids are gone, they're like, woohoo, it's our second life. When my son's out of the house, I'm going to be probably close to 70. Right? So you think another 10 years, that'll make me 67. 10 years from now, he'll be 19. God knows where the world's going to be. And I anticipate that he'll probably, like many people these days, might have to still live here. And I'm great with that, because I love him so much, but I also want him to experience his own life. And that's what we do as parents, is we set kids up to be independent from us. But then when that happens, again, much like taking care of our aging parents, then we're lost with, okay, I was the soccer dad, or I was the school lunch mom, or I was on the PTA, or now what do I do with myself? Right? Because we identify, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a dad. And then all of a sudden you're kind of not. You're still a mom and dad, but then you become more friends. And I see this one lady, I've known her daughter since she was like 5, 6, 7, and now she's, I think, 20. And so I see them, they look like sisters. And they're going out and doing stuff together. And I'm like, how cool is that? But the whole thing about what I'm talking about is your life and your experience. So you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. You have to ask yourself, number one, am I happy with who I am? Yes or no? Not sort of, not kind of. Yes or no? No. Okay. What 3 areas of my life can I focus on over the next 3 to 6 months, that by the end of the 6 months, which are going to go by like that, it's going to be Christmas time before we know it. I recognize that. It's 103 outside right now, but I recognize that before I know it, my son goes back to school in 3 weeks. He starts the 4th grade. fucking summer, like summer is going to be a blip on the radar. How many more summers do you get? I figure if I'm 57, hopefully I live to 85. You do the math. It's not a whole hell of a lot, because when you look in retrospect, like how fast, I ask people, like, you know, where will you be in 10 years? Like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you better start figuring it out, because how fast did the last 10 years go? I was 47 10 years ago. When I turned 50, I had major back surgery. No, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. I was in corporate, like it was a totally different life. And those 10 years go by like that. Months go by like that. And as you get older, it goes by faster. Then all of a sudden you're left with, okay, what am I going to do next? Or how do I process this? I will admit this openly, because this show is all about connection and realistic truth. Is I started therapy a couple of weeks ago. I decided for myself that I was going to go back. And for me, I mean, talking to my coach, everybody knows me, but I want to go to a completely third-party person who has a specialized skill in life, in psychology, and understanding how we unlock the mind. And I decided I wanted to go for a few sessions and talk about me thinking about death and me worrying about how I'm going to die, and feeling that grip of fear, not even fear, it's terror. It's terror, because the older I get, the closer I'm getting to that prognosis or that diagnosis. And of course, I work out and I take care of myself, but I have also arthritis and spinal stenosis and all sorts of different things. So I'm pretty confident in 10 years, you probably won't be able to tell the difference much the way I look now and the way I act now. And that's my whole intention, is to be 78 and still fucking rocking it, because there's people out there that do it. But I also recognize that could be different. That could be different. So what's the intention? The intention right now is to live in this moment, to have absolute gratitude and excitement for this, right? How many people are truly excited about life? And one of the ways that you can maintain your enthusiasm for life is to have a couple of things on your calendar all the time that you're looking forward to. Maybe something in the short term, the next couple of weeks. Hey, I'm looking forward to having lunch. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Oh, we're going to go for a bike ride and a picnic. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. Or we're going to go down to the beach, or we're going to go to a park, or we're going to go take a hike. And then have something a little bit down the distance, like to think about, okay, next year we're going to take a vacation to the Bahamas, or we're going to go back and visit family this year. You know, we really can't afford it, but we're going to make it a point to go back because mom and dad are getting older. My wife's going back for a wedding in August to Chicago to see her aunts and uncles and some other people, because time's getting short. And I want her to go and experience that on her own without having to worry about me and our son. So me and him are going to a Cub Scout camping event, and then she's going to go do that. So having stuff on your calendar to look for me, it's concerts. I have a concert coming up for Hailstorm. I have a concert coming up for Shinedown. The Foo Fighters are coming August 22nd. I'm thinking about trying to figure out how to get to that. And so having stuff on your calendar to be excited about, combined with the fact of what is it that I'm going to take from today? Like right after I get done recording this podcast, I'm going to go play video games with my son. We're going to play Rock Band. So he loves to sing and I love to play guitar, and we trade off and we sing and we have a good time. And then we're going to play our racing game where he likes to go out and destroy things. And it makes me cringe and frustrated, but we have a good time. And then we're going to have family dinner. And then we're going to have family snuggles after we put our pajamas on. So I have even today to look forward to. I constantly look forward to my social interactions and my videos impacting people. But it's not perfect. I have these moments where I go down a rabbit hole and I get scared. I get really scared because as much as I know that whatever happened in my life and whatever is happening in my life, I know is preparing me for what's next. And so my life is really good right now. It's not without challenges. My pool motor just died this morning, so I'm trying to get a hold of my pool guy to fix that. We had roots growing through our pipes downstairs, and so they honed it out, but now we got to put tree branch killer in there once a month. Otherwise, it's going to go back and block that up, and otherwise they're going to dig out our front foyer through the concrete and through the tile. I could go on and on. But that's not the point. It's not about focusing. I mean, the challenges are there. I call them real world problems. Whatever it might be. My car broke down. In the grand scheme of things, I have such an appreciation for how life is happening and that I still get to continue to experience this, because I'll ask you this, like if you had $1 million, would it completely change your life? And I can hear you and I can see you and you're like, yeah, $1 million. Oh my God. And I do this when I speak live, and I'll say, how many people in here think that money can answer all their problems. I'm like, oh, you see all sorts of hands coming up. And I said, okay, all things being real, what would you do for $1 million? I'm like, I'll give you $1 million right now, but you guys give me your eyesight. Does anybody do it? Hands go down. I'm like, everybody just said that $1 million would completely change your life. But yet when I offer it in exchange for your eyesight, you still get around. You have seeing eye dogs. I mean, there's so many different technologies right now. You still get around, but you have $1 million. Nope, Chris. Nope, it's not worth my eyesight. Okay. All right. I understand. How about $500,000? Cash, no taxes. Who wants $500,000? People are looking at me like, oh, I don't know, Chris. I'm like, $500,000, but you give me your legs. You're paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of your life, but you have $500,000 cash. You can still get around. You can still play tennis. You can still do all sorts of things, but you're paralyzed from the waist down. Do you do it? Very, very rarely when I've broached that in public does anybody sit there and say, yeah, I would do it. So when you think about this, guys, when you wake up tomorrow morning and your feet hit the ground and your eyes look around, realize you're $1.5 million ahead of the game. You have $1.5 million just in the fact that your feet touch the ground and you can see. But what do? We look for what we don't have, and we think, oh, I'll be happy when I have that relationship. Oh, I'll be happy when I have a bigger bedroom. Oh, I'll be happy when I look better. Oh, I'll be happy when my... Stop quantifying and qualifying your happiness, guys. Like, you're fucking blessed right now. And here's the truth. There are a ton, thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people in this world that would probably change places with you right now to have what you have. So have a sense of gratitude, have a sense of curiosity and excitement in your life. Look for ways to grow and better yourself. Look for ways to grow and help humanity heal. Again, if you listen to this podcast for any length of time, especially in the last 6 months to a year, I am so passionate about letting people know, the people of Venezuela, the people of Vietnam, the people of Iran, the people of everywhere. Like, we're in this together. I know I look like a white dude, like whatever you want to say, stereotypical, whatever, but I don't care what label you have. Sexuality, religion, I don't care if you're tall, straight, gay, Republican, Democrat, whatever. Are you a good person? And can we band together? Can we lock arms together to say, hey, you know, this world is going through a transformational time right now. Artificial intelligence, whatever's going on with the AI companies and the tech billionaires, and what's going on with politics and Russia, all these different things, the Strait of Hormuz, whatever you say it. It's pretty scary. It's pretty frightening. But you know what's pretty cool is when people stand up together and say, you know what? No. And I'm seeing that. If you haven't heard of flock cameras, FLOCK, they're in your neighborhood most likely, and they're disguised as license plate readers. But it's pretty incredible what they're using that technology for and what they're going to use that technology for. It's being used for bad things. And so humanity, residents and people are standing up and going to their city council meetings and saying no flock cameras. We're not going to support that. So we're seeing cities, the city of Los Angeles discontinued their contract with flock cameras, although independent organizations have their own contracts. But people are saying, no, we're not going to, we're drawing the line right there. And so some people, I don't condone this, but some people are resorting to vandalism to get the cameras down and saying, hey, you need to take these cameras out of here, or they're destroying them. Also, AI data centers. It is not needed to have a data center bigger than the size of Manhattan in Utah. I think that's where it was. By the way, what's his nuts from Sharks, Kevin O'Leary. Oh boy, he was behind that. Yeah, he was. I think they were buying politicians and all sorts of stuff. But AI data centers, it's ridiculous. So people or citizens are standing up and saying, no, we're not going to allow that. We don't need that. We don't want that. And so hopefully we're doing it at a fast enough rate and early enough that we can change the course of humanity. Because if you look, I haven't watched it, but there's a documentary out there that I'm so hesitant to watch, but I know I need to watch it. It's called the AI doc. It was by the same people that did the social experiment, where they talked about social media and they talked about the origin of Facebook and what impact that's having on kids and loneliness and making male loneliness even worse. There's so much to talk about on that. That's going to be an upcoming episode. I'm actually watching a YouTube video. I keep having to pause it, but I'm watching a YouTube video right now of Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. He's put himself in a room with like 15 other people that are full adopters of the manosphere. Like, if you've heard of Andrew Tate and his brother, I can't remember his name. Those guys and the people that perpetuate like looks maxing that you may have heard about. There's this whole culture of this manosphere where they shit on feminism, not really women, but it's just this whole macho fucking testosterone fueled bullshit. There's so much that we can help to offset in our world. And so the way I can do it is by having these shows and by having these conversations and having you beautiful people show up. And then from this, going and telling your friends and your family, like, hey, you know what? I just heard this guy on this podcast. He talked about having a living memorial. Let's do this. Let's do this year. Let's make this a priority. Because if you died or I died, I would show up to your funeral and I would give a eulogy. But why don't we do it while we're alive? Or perhaps, hey, I'm going to go look in my neighborhood and see if we have flock cameras in our neighborhood. I'm going to go look and see when my next city hall or my city council meeting is. I don't want to go to those. I hate politics, also, but it's happening. And if we get more and more people to stand up and say no and go to these meetings, guess what? Things will change. I just recently saw that people were showing up to the city council meeting. The city council members had the audacity to say, well, we're going to do it anyway. We're shutting down public comment and doing all this stuff. And these people said, fuck you are. Guess what? We're going to initiate a recall campaign. And 3 of those people, I believe it was, I'm not sure exactly where it was. It was the Midwest or the East Coast, got recalled. Right. And so we take this time. Hopefully you take this time when you vote for judges and you vote for city council people and you vote for school superintendents and you go back and you see, are they really keeping the promises that they made during the campaign? Or do we just sit there and say, okay, I voted and I'm done? And I'm raising my hand. I'm not exactly the greatest at that. But each day, like now I would say friends or at least acquaintances, I guess, with my city council member. Like here in Riverside County in Southern California, they have what's called our wards, which I think sounds very prisonish, but we're a part of Ward 5. Our city council member is Sean Mill. So I've gone to his local city council meetings where he talks about what's happening in our area, whether it's crime or street paving, or I brought up to my city officials the fact that there's 2 intersections where drivers, it's stopways, it's stop signs. It's a very clusterfuck kind of situation, 4-way stop signs and whatnot. But people are driving through the fucking crosswalk and not paying attention to who's in the crosswalk. I've been nearly hit so many times, like probably at least 10 times, like significant, like, holy shit, that fucking car almost hit me. So I brought it up, like, can we get blinking stop signs? Can we consider having a light put there? Can we have traffic enforcement go there and ticket some people? And maybe once a week they sit there and they catch people and they fucking, hey, by the way, you want to fucking pay attention. Why are you in such a hurry? Like that 20 seconds that you had to jump the crosswalk or cut somebody off or barely or almost hit somebody. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is like, you're most likely in a hurry to a job or a home that you don't really want to, that you're not happy at, but you're willing to fucking consider causing an accident and then having road rage. I had somebody flip me off. Was it yesterday? What did they flip me off for? I very seldom see the finger, but this person made it a point to stick it out their window. I don't know. I don't even know what I did. That's how important it was. But you got these people with this road rage. You're finding there's more situations like that. Like, no, how about fix it? How about instead of bitching about it, how about we become a part of the solution rather than part of the problem? And bitching to your friends and saying how terrible things are, but not doing something about it is ridiculous, right? You could, write your senator, be informed, right? Take action. Together, if we bond as humanity and say, okay, what can we find that we have in common versus our differences? Because most likely our differences are 1 or 2 things, but the things that we have in common, when you really break it apart, we're way more similar than we are different. Like I'm a part of a men's circle, and we meet once a week. We sit here and we produce them on Facebook and social media. You guys can check it out if you look for Sid McNary, SID McNary, Sid McNary. It's the men's circle. You guys can ask me for links to it, but it's like usually 4 or 5 of us guys, usually the same ones, and we're talking about things that are going on in the world, and we're trying to help men. But sometimes on that particular group of people, some of us disagree politically, very passionately. We disagree. But it doesn't mean we hate the person, doesn't mean we discard the person. It just means like, hey, we're going to have a healthy discussion about this. But at the end, we're going to walk out saying, hey, ultimately, We want people to have an opportunity. Ultimately, we want people to be safe. Ultimately, we want people to be held accountable. We're saying all the same things. It's just a pendulum of the left versus the right, which is really mind-blowing these days. I mean, I wish we would just sit there and say, okay, we're Americans, we're Venezuelans, we're Haitians, whatever it might be, and together let's make a difference in our communities, because we can't. And I think, in some respects, it scares me what's happening in the world today, but in some respects, perhaps it needs to break. And I've seen people say publicly and privately, burn it all fucking down. Like, people have said the reason why the Epstein files haven't been released, by the way, release the fucking files, is because there's so many people involved and there's so many layers that shit will just fall apart. And, we don't want things to fall apart, but at the same time, maybe it needs to. Maybe it needs to break, and then we together build it back to the way it should be. Because I can tell you this, my 9-year-old kid does not deserve to inherit this bullshit. And if you live by simple rules like I do, one of my simple rules is to leave wherever it is that you've been a little bit better. So you pick up a piece of trash. For me, it's making people smile, making people laugh, whether it's a cashier, whether it's the person at the car wash. They know me at the car wash because, and I don't tell them that I'm a fucking motivational speaker or that I have a podcast. I'm just really super nice. How's your day going? You had any cranky people today? Oh, you'd be amazed. I said that this last week when I went to take my car to the car wash. They're like, oh my God, people will complain about the littlest things. I'm like, do you mind if I ask? Like, oh, they complain, oh, there's not enough soap, or the pressure's too hard, or the vacuums aren't strong. And I'm like, wow, we're getting our car washed. I mean, I pay $32 a month for unlimited car washes. And yeah, I mean, you can always find stuff to bitch about. But how cool is it you could fucking go through a car wash and get your car washed? And how cool is it that you can vacuum it out and spend a little time and get some sunshine and play some music, whatever it might be. Take pride in your vehicle. I don't know. But my intention is that wherever I go, I leave it just a little bit better. Whether we were at the beach on Saturday and you clean up just a little bit better. You come in contact with somebody who perhaps has a frown on their face and doesn't feel very good, and somehow you make them just feel a little bit better. I've offered strangers hugs. I'm like, you look like you need a hug. And somebody like, yeah, I really do. Actually, I just got a shirt, true story, that says free hugs. I haven't worn it out yet because I got it off Amazon because I was looking for motivational t-shirts that I could wear. Like, I have another shirt that says be kind, and on the back it says you never know what other people are going through. So I especially ordered that off of TikTok. I paid $35-$40 for it. It's expensive for a shirt, but it was actually a nice quality. But the thing I really wanted to do, the reason why I spent that money, is to communicate to other people that are around me, like, hey, there's somebody who cares. There's somebody who cares. Like, you find more people that care. Again, it feels good for us, the people that are caring and bestowing that upon other people. And I tell myself all the time, I'm like, I should be doing more. I should be doing more. But at the same time, I know I'm doing what I can and I'm inspired. So perhaps I'll create a challenge like, okay, what can I specifically do to help people who can't afford to get their pets vaccinated, right? Because it's so expensive now to take care of your animals. What can I do for that? Can I create a little thing out front? Like, I don't know if you have them in your neighborhoods where you stop by and you can check out a book, or you just take a book. It's like a little book sharing kiosk. Like, how about I do that for animal food? Like, and just post it on Nextdoor. We have an app. You guys may have it or not. It's called Nextdoor. So maybe if I put it out there and I sit there and say, okay, I'm going to go buy some inexpensive dry cat food and maybe some cat litter. I'm going to put it in throwaway Tupperware containers or plastic bags or something like that. Hey, if you need to feed your animal and it's in between your Social Security check or whatever, you can stop by and you can get that. Or maybe you do it with canned soup. Or like I was just telling my wife, she makes bread. And I said, this year it would be really cool if we could just make mini loaves. And me, you, and Jackson go down. There's a place called Fairmont Park where a lot of homeless hang out. And how cool would that be just to do our little thing? Maybe make a little care package with some toothbrush, a toothpaste, a little loaf of bread, something. It doesn't have to be off the top or over the top, but just to let people, hey, no, we care. Maybe make a spaghetti dinner and have it in the park, some paper plates, some plastic forks. We can all do something. Like, whatever it is that you're passionate about, think about doing something like that. Offering cat food to the elderly, or maybe sitting there saying, you know what, I go on Nextdoor and say, you know what, I volunteer once a week to go to the grocery shopping for you if you're elderly or you can't get out, or I would love to take you out for lunch. Like, go take a complete stranger out. Maybe you find an 84-year-old woman who just lost her husband, and maybe her kid passed away 20 years ago, and you sit there and say, hey, let's go out and have coffee. And you just go out and talk and you listen. And one by one, we make this world a better place for who we are and what we do. That, when you look at the other stuff that I shared today and my anxieties about death and longevity and regrets, you put enough things in your life that you're excited for and you're happy about and you feel good about, and you go to bed at the end of the day, like I said before, about having that sense of pride, you fucking stitch together a pretty cool life. So that if this is the last thing that I ever do, God forbid I fall down the stairs and bust my head open and wind up dead, my family can look at this broadcast and go, you know what? Dad was on point. That's who Chris was. That's who Chris is. And you know what? When somebody dies, yes, their physical body dies, but you know what you can do is you can carry on their essence. Like, I would hope my wife and my son would sit there and say, you know what, we're going to do one thing. I want my wife to do, I would appreciate her doing, is keeping my podcast, pay for that, $100 a year to keep my podcast up on Apple and Spotify. Keep my YouTube channel up there for my son. I've done over 1,000 videos. By the way, if you haven't seen my YouTube, it's youtube.com/the Christopher Rausch, or Christopher Rausch, ChristopherRausch. Or you can just go to Google or whatever it is you use and type in #No Excuses Coach, and all sorts of things will pop up because I'm known as that, the No Excuses Coach. So, did you get value out of this raw and unscripted podcast? Completely raw. I mean, I had a couple of notes over here. And by the way, I didn't say this, but I highly recommend, from a personal mental health standpoint, Dr. Gabor Mate. Phenomenal. Also the book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. Also another book called The Body Keeps Score. So many books. I'm sitting there looking at my bookshelf that I've downsized. The Power of Focus. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So many. So make it your mission, make it your legacy, that you're going to continue to grow and learn, and that you're going to stop tolerating bullshit in your life, and you're going to have boundaries, and you're going to stick to your values, and you keep your promises to yourself. Is that a deal? I'm raising my hand to say, let's shake it. All right. So let me know what you're doing in your life. I would really love to hear from you. I know you're busy, but send me an email, info at noexcusescoach.com, or on social media. I know a lot of people are connected with me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever it might be. I would love to hear from you. What shows you would want to see, what speaks to you, what I could do differently. And if you're interested in that coaching, the group coaching, let me know, and I will gift you a complimentary coaching session. I promise you, and I don't say promise very often, I promise you, you'll walk away in 45 minutes with some answers and some tools to be able to handle whatever situation you bring to me, just that much better. So it's a win-win. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for being here on Raw and Unscripted. Make sure you share this episode out on social media, and not just share it, but type some stuff like, hey, listen to this guy in this episode. He talks about this. Give people a reason. Send it to people, a private message, and say, hey, I really think you could benefit from listening to this guy. He's pretty cool. He's pretty funny, and he's straight up, and he's real, and he's authentic. All right. So we'll see you here next time, next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or catch us on the replay. But join us on the video cast. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/the Christopher Rausch. I love you and appreciate you. And now I'm going to go be a dad.